Welcome to a new edition of the Everlast Power Video Series. Today, we will finish our 5x10 project trailer and go over some of the final aspects of the build. In Part 6, we cover the fender and floor installation. Today, we will start with building the trailer ramp. The ramp gate construction is a very simple ladder design, just like the trailer frame. Here, I'm adding a couple of extra supports to the frame due to a custom application. Ordinarily, I'd use 5 rail supports and make the gate 4 foot high, with the 2 even number supports, number 2 and 4, being spaced so that they would be placed directly under the tires of whatever object that would be loaded. Now, of course, if you have multiple objects to load, usually placing them about 18 to 20 inches from the outside frame rails will work just fine. For this gate, I've used inch by inch and a half by 14 gauge tubing for the basic material because I got it on a special. It's already pre-cut. Now, this saved me time and money, but it made the gate about 2 inches more narrow than the trailer is wide. Now the extra inch of space on either side of the gate isn't a real obstacle, and the extra foot is needed by the customer to make his equipment easier to load. Now, as I said, the gate could be built several different ways using several different kinds of materials. Now, what I've got is a fairly strong design, and I'm happy with it since I am building a tubing trailer. But if you wanted to save money, you probably could use angle iron for this ramp. Hinging the ramp is something that you should not make that difficult. Here I'm making a barrel hinge. This is a simple design and allows the gate to be removed. I'm using 3/4 round stock that I've chamfered on the edge to make it easier to line up. For the barrel part of the hinge, I'm using a simple tractor hitch adapter bushing. If you don't know what that means or don't know where to find it, you can find it usually in any tractor supply store or a small town hardware store should carry them. The bushings are nice because they've been pre-reamed and they don't have a lot of slop or play in them. To make a hinge, you need to edge weld one bushing onto the end of the piece of round stock. This simply locks the round stock in place and makes the base of the hinge. It really doesn't matter what part of the hinge you weld to the ramp gate, but whatever you do, be sure you don't weld both bushings to the ramp gate at the same time. Here you can see on another trailer, I welded the base of the hinge to the trailer first. Actually, I like this a little bit better, as it seems to make the gate easier to line up and slide on. A flat edge such as a table or a piece of flat bar clamped to the gate will help line up the gate so that both hinges are running true and square. When you begin to weld the hinge on, be sure that you've taken into account the amount of the rotation the gate has. If you place the hinge in the wrong spot, it may limit the travel of the gate. This is really dependent upon the dimensions of the gate material, trailer frame, and the hinge diameter. If you mount the hinge too high, your gate may lift all the way up but may not go all the way down. If you place the hinge too low, it may go all the way down to the ground but not raise all the way up. If you tack weld both pieces, it will make it easier to cut off and reposition the hinge if needed. At this point, an extra hand in the shop is nice, especially if you're building a trailer for the first time. I've already figured out my hinge location and I'm satisfied with it, so I'm just going to go ahead and weld them on. Here's the gate after I weld it on. All that I need to do is weld the expanded metal on and I'll be finished. I'll use the same method I did in Part 6 for the flooring. Well, we're finally done. Let's take a quick walk around the trailer since it's finished. Obviously, you need to figure out your options for paint. For most of my purposes, I use a direct-to-metal enamel product, something like a Rust-Oleum or other brand of paint that advertises it can be applied directly to the metal. You can spray, brush, or roll it on. I typically spray most of my flat surfaces with an automotive spray gun. But for the expanded metal, I like to use a roller because it works better and wastes less paint. Of course, for best results, you can prime it, but it does add a good bit to the bottom line of the cost of the build. Here, I've simply fashioned my own pull pin to hold the trailer gate upright. I've used the extra gap in the gate to my advantage and have welded a spacer which serves as a lineup point for the pin to slide in. One of the things that you should keep in mind is the mounting of the light kit. Here, I've used some leftover angle to make the rear light brackets. The two pieces are welded directly to the trailer with an open slot for the rear tail light bolts. I like this design because it's strong and allows you to easily replace a tail light if it were to get broken. It's a lot faster than trying to weld up a fancy bracket and drill hole. Now for the front marker lights, I've used another piece of angle and simply welded it so a single hole can be drilled and the light can be mounted. Again, nothing fancy, but it works. You may also notice that I've welded up the open ends of the tubing. You can leave it open or use a plastic tubing plug if you desire. This works for me and completes the trailer. Keep in mind that light mounting location requirements have certain standards that should be met for safety and DOT requirements. Please check with your local law enforcement if you have any questions or doubts about proper mounting. That completes our trailer project build. Now let's go over some of the cost. I'm giving some general costs at local wholesale prices. In many areas of the country, you can find similar if not cheaper pricing. A little research and a lot of asking questions will lead you directly to the suppliers in your area. Don't expect to be able to go to a retail store and build this trailer for the prices I'm going to quote. But even if you do, it's likely you can come out cheaper than buying a completed trailer from a trailer retail dealer, even if your time is figured in. Speaking of time, a trailer like this takes between 10 to 15 hours to complete, even up to 20. Now this may be longer with limited experience or equipment, but it's still a project that's doable over one weekend if you're committed to it. As for the cost for me to build this trailer, it ran about $550 to $575. At current prices, you'll probably end up with about $250 to $350 in metal alone. Axles are anywhere between $90 to $150 depending on how direct you're buying them. For me, it was definitely on the lower end. A mounting kit is between $7 to $15 for the axle. Tires on rims can be anywhere between $50 to $125 a piece. Again, depending upon your point of purchase, the price may vary. Light kits run between $15 to $25. A safety chain shouldn't run more than about $8 to $12 or so. A trailer coupler is between $8 to $12. And paint is one of the biggest factors, as it takes about 3 quarts if you're conservative, and it could take 5 quarts if you're inexperienced and sloppy with the paint. Now for welding wire and gas and that kind of thing, you can expect to use about maybe 90 to 120 cubic feet of welding gas and maybe 3 to 5 pounds of welding wire. Now I hope you've enjoyed following our trailer project build here. If you have any questions about Everlast i-MIG products featured in this video series or questions about the product in general, please give us a call at the number listed above. And of course, join us for the next Everlast Power video.